Chris, let's move on to Thierno Barry, the striker situation. I just mentioned it, I thought it was his best performance in an Everton shirt. I would have been disappointed if he hadn't have started, even after the display against Sunderland on Monday. I know we had the first 30 minutes played well and he missed that chance, but I still think he did enough to warrant that start against Fulham. But, leaving the pitch, he was still frustrated, wasn't he? And there was an exchange between Thierno and David Moyes. Yeah. So can you shed any light on what happened there?
I don't know what was said, but I know that David Moyes praised him again afterwards, didn't he? He said he worked his nuts off, something like that. Can we say that on the Royal Blue Park? I think we're okay. I mean, fair play to David Moyes, fair play to Thierno Barry, because I couldn't understand what he's done there. He didn't want to sort of shatter the lad's confidence, and Thierno Barry has sort of made a joke of it himself, hasn't he? The fact that he's thanked the Everton fans for the ovation that he got, and he's referenced his Instagram profile picture, the fact of him looking rather glum on the bench at Sunderland after going off. And personally, I looked at Beto's previous record at Fulham and seen that Beto had scored 3 goals previously at Fulham. So I'd have gone with Beto, but fair play David Moyes. He stuck with Thierno Barry and was rewarded, as I said in my player ratings, with his best display in a Royal Blue jersey to date. He's still obviously waiting for that first goal. He did get the ball in the net. Obviously one of those 3 offside goals. But yeah, you can see from his comments he took sort of great pleasure and also satisfaction, encouragement from the way that the crowd gave him that ovation when he went off. And you could see, it didn't quite happen for him again, but he was, as Joe said, he was leading the line well and looking a lot more involved in the play than he has been for a long time this season. And hopefully it can be some sort of watershed moment for him. He's still waiting for that elusive first goal, but he looked a lot more sort of integrated both in the team, both physically in the way he was playing and mentally. And I don't know what David Moyes actually said to him, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were words of encouragement after what was a very much more improved display. Because I thought he actually did. I was getting stick after Sunderland saying that I'd gone too high with the mark for him because he'd missed the sitter, but I thought there were actually a lot of positives from that. He had the nod down for Jimmy Garner in the first minute for the chance. I know and Dyer had all to do for the goal, but he'd won the ball back for that. So we all remember that night for the miss and the frustration of him going off there, and obviously the silly booking that came after that as well. But there were plus points from Sunderland, so he built on that against Fulham, and very encouraging. So hopefully it can be a turning point for him.
I don't know if anyone who's listening or watching can hear. There's an alarm ringing outside, so hopefully it's not interfering with it.
There is a committee outside that look very confused trying to sort it out.
Right.
But
it's not the fire alarm, so we can still stay. It's something to do with it.
But even if it was the fire alarm, we continue to deliver content to you.
Just stuck here like the band on the Titanic. Let's don't go down there. Yeah, I think everything's all right.
I think it's just the door. Yeah. But I admire Joe's commitment. Even in the face of death, he would stay to record the Royal Blue podcast. So there's a comment here from Nathan Clare who says, cannot keep chopping and changing the forward line. It has to be Barry, even if he is poor at United. I mean, Joe, the one thing I'll say about the performance for Barry, it was that the players around him, certainly in the second half, even before he went off, they were giving him the ball a lot more. They obviously felt in their own minds confident enough to pass him the ball that he knew he wasn't going to give the ball away. For all my defence of Beto, and even Chris there suggesting that he may have started Beto against Fulham, I think it's clear that Barry is probably a little bit more technical or technically gifted than Beto, isn't he?
Yeah, it seems that way. And there were some really promising bits of link-up, that chested pass to Kieran Dewsbury Hall in particular. And that's something that we just don't tend to see from Beto. And obviously it set Dewsbury Hall through, and that was the first booking that Lukic got, and it was from that free kick that Garner tested Bernd Leno as well. And there's also those little bits of skill, like in the second half when he did Wackham Anderson on the halfway line. Then got by the corner flag and did him again. And unfortunately for Barry, he kind of humiliated himself by falling over as well, didn't he? But they're just those little bits of link-up play which kind of give you hope that there's a relationship there that can be developed with the players around him. And I certainly think that he would deserve to start at Old Trafford. And then we'll see where it goes. Obviously, people can't get blank checks. Depend on the nature's performance there. But I think that he deserves the benefit of the doubt now and to start the next game. It was the right decision to sub him off against Sunderland. I saw a lot of criticism for Moyes taking him off, and I couldn't understand it, to be perfectly honest. I think that he had a good start to the game, but he had that miss. He clearly took it poorly. He was booked for a wild lunge that was really unnecessary, really needless. Put him on a yellow card in games like that, and the way Everton play, Moyes wants his striker to be physical. He wants him to put himself about. The reality was that he had far less of an opportunity to do that because he was on a yellow card, and there are people saying that, he's 23, he should never be able to handle himself, they can trust him. I'm not really sure that when you look at how the manner in which he picked up that first yellow card, and particularly when you think about how he did very similar at Wolves in the Carabao Cup when he was frustrated and picked up an early needless booking. I thought it made perfect sense, particularly when by that point Sunderland had grown in that much confidence that they were sitting on the halfway line and there was plenty of space to run behind them. It felt like a game that was better suited to Beto, although Everton didn't utilise him anywhere near as much as you'd have hoped they would have done once he did come on. So, but yeah, it was a display of real promise from Thierno Barry, and there are a handful. Let's say, whilst Everton have obvious limitations in this side, there are a handful of areas where just a fraction of an improvement could make a big difference to the team and how it's performing. And they can find a striker that they can stick with, and you can suddenly just have that confidence to go on and run and score games and score a few goals. Then it would have a huge impact on this team and its ambitions.
And I think as well, if Barry was to continue to cement his place in the team, I still think Beto can be a weapon off the bench. Certainly when teams are maybe getting beat or to draw, and the opposition teams are pushing up with that high line, the space in behind, as Joe kind of just mentioned there, as we tried to do against Sunderland. I think Beto could be a weapon in that respect. So hopefully things will settle down with the strike situation. Hopefully Thierno Barry does become the main man, I guess. I mean, we've had this discussion plenty of times. We've even had whether should Illiman and Dye play up there. Yeah, I know that's been a lot of debate over the past couple of weeks.